So what's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bridge the Gap over here. This is the show where basically what we are trying to do is bridge the gap of knowledge with different people, talk to different folk. You may want to mute your TV actually, because otherwise you're gonna hear that. Awesome. So what we trying to do is bridge that gap of knowledge. We trying to go out there and let the people know what we've all been through on our various journeys and go through our stories a little bit and just kind of talk and just kind of like use that opportunity to share with people what we can so that we can kind of further our understanding of the scene and the industry and kind of enhance it all, because I think we all have a communal desire to see Montreal pop off and whatnot. So today joining me, everyone, we have Mr. Blocka. Now Blocka is one of those guys who, in my opinion, when you see him there, you know some professional shit's going down. Usually there's going to be some carpets or some fucking cameras or some flashity flashes. He's got the mic ready to go. He's got that voice that, like, literally every time you hear the man's voice, it's like distinct and it's crisp and it's just built for being online. Honestly, lately you can see him doing a whole bunch of shit with the Honor Roll record. Is it Honor Roll? I keep getting that between Honor Roll and On the Rise.
Honor Roll Records. Bro.
Honor Roll. Or, that's how I remember it. OAR, right? Anyway, Honor Roll Records. You see him hosting all these live streams and just being in the middle of some freaking amazing stuff happening within the city. But yo, Blocka's been around for a long time and he's got a whole history's worth of information that he's going to be able to share with us. Every interaction I've had with him has been pleasant. I mean, back when I was like talking shit about VR before anyone gave a fuck, Blocka was one of the first dudes to even like listen. Everyone else is like blah blah blah, fucking VR, and Blocka's like, yo, I see where you're going with this. Let's have a conversation or whatever. And at that moment, I'm like, yo, Blocka's smart. So, anyway. I don't actually know that much about you outside of like just your involvement with stuff like Makeway and Honor Roll and just where I've seen you at. So that's why I'm kind of really excited, because now what we can do is take that opportunity to on wax, talk to everybody and let them know your story, what you do, all of the good stuff about it. But as far as I'm concerned, you're still involved in the music scene. So you still getting the same first question that everybody gets typically when it's one of the more music peoples. And not to say you're not a music people, but in your current role, it's a privilege, dude. Everybody, look, in my opinion, the more interesting people to talk to are not the rappers. It's not to say the rappers are boring, but yo, I'm a rapper. So talking to people who aren't necessarily pursuing that so actively right now makes it kind of exciting for me, and I'm certain for a lot of other people, right? So let's go to the first question. So musical journeys don't start with the typical question, what's your influences and stuff? That's not where it begins. That's actually a little bit down the line. So it really begins a little bit earlier, and I talk a lot of stories, it's what it is. But my girlfriend's washing dishes one day, and she's doing this fucking Black Eyed Peas song playing on the radio, the I Gotta Feel It. They know that shit. And I'm like, yo, once upon a time, though, we was all a little bit younger, and that's that shit in the clubs. But now, 10 years later, that's that dishes music. And it made me go, yo, when we was kids growing up, and I thought about it, my mom's bumping that disco when she's doing chores. My dad's got his rock when he's playing the fucking chores and shit. And I'm like, okay, so this is chores music. Used to be the party music. And then after asking this a few times, I realized there's fucking car music vibes, and there's fucking, just in the background, there's the pop era, there's what your siblings are into. So this is all stuff that you didn't have a choice in listening to. It's the stuff that you were kind of exposed to as a youth. So everybody got the pop musics and whatnot, but let's talk a little bit about what your musical life was like as a little one, when you were growing up.
You know what? That's a great question. I want to say thank you for having me on the show, by the way.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I'm going to go on a few points that you brought up just before I answer the question, but I just want to say everything's a full circle. Basically, like, yeah, we spoke in the past, and when you said about like being smart about let's talk, is because why not listen? You know what I mean? For me, you got 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. So it means to listen twice as much as you talk. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I'm going to listen and I'm going to ask questions. And if I don't get the answers I want, then good. I know where I stand. You know what I mean? So that's how I basically look at that. And me coming on your show was basically a song that CY had put out on YouTube of a recording that we did, and then I think you were this. I don't know if it was you or someone else made a comment like, "Yo, I didn't even know Blocka rap."
Shit, that
Because
was me, and I had forgotten that happened
yeah,
actually. So I was like,
yeah,
"Fuck, does Blocka even rap?" Oh shit, he does,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
completely forgot. Anyway,
Right, right. Because when it comes to making music, you can't necessarily go and find a Blocka song. Nobody can go and find a Blocka song. You can catch me on features. I'm featured on songs, but if you ever saw me perform, you saw me live. You saw me show rock. So I've done like shows like Ace Hood, and we're at the YFN Lucci, and we did the Young MA, and we did the TI, and all these different type of shows. But the biggest one I performed was Ace Hood. But then we did all the city shows in Montreal, like I'd see why doing shows with me, Bamboo Twigs,
yo,
doing
shout
that
out
different type
Bamboo
of
Twigs. That guy came through
Bamboo
here.
Twigs.
He's fucking brilliant. He's one of my favorite guys right now.
Yeah, that's me doing shows with him, and obviously Buds and Honorable Records and all that shit, like the whole squadron, doing these shows, and that's how I got into it. But to answer your question now, I can clearly remember, no lie, that apart from like, let's just say Vanilla Ice, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, I remember TLC, I remember like 5 cent, 10 cent dollar, Murder She Wrote, because I'm Caribbean, like obviously listening to Bob Marley. And then I went through a stage where it was like Limp Bizkit and Korn
But
and
like,
Rage Against the Machine,
let's
like
let's
big
let's let's stay
tunes
when
type
you're
shit.
like young. Let's talk a bit more about
That's
that,
when I
cause
was young. I was in elementary school.
okay,
By
so
the time
corn
I
and
got
all
to
that. Yeah, I don't actually know how
all of
old you
that
are.
shit was all of that shit I was still not in high
Gosh.
school.
Okay, so what happened here was I thought maybe I think I might be older than you, and I just had an old man moment where I like kind of like felt like
You're not older than me.
no, oh right, you're 34. Nah, so like
Yeah.
oh right, because technically corn and shit comes out way back in the 90s, and I'm just again being a little bit off. Fair enough. Still,
True.
we aligning. But yeah, okay. So you actually, as a kid, how are you listening to this music? How are you finding it?
It's funny. I had this, I guess, a metal boombox that my mom and my dad gave to me that was in my room. A metal boombox. I had 2 tapes. I had a Michael Jackson tape. I think I had a MC Hammer tape. MC Hammer too. Shout out MC.
Mm,
I had an MC Hammer tape, and I think I had a Whitney tape. And those were like the first tapes I ever really had. But I remember on the radio, shit like obviously like Madonna and like Grand Van 3000 type shit, and TLC, like Jason Waterfalls or whatever is called, Waterfalls, whatever that shit is called. Like all these songs are songs that I listened to, and like I understood why people like Aaliyah, RIP to her, the influence they have on music. Like I'm not here to judge people on the music they like and shit, but I could tell you my favorite documentary. Put it this way, as deep as it goes, my favorite music fucking documentary is the Eagles, bro.
okay. How come?
Uh, because when you see how they went about doing Hotel California, and they didn't even know, like, man, press the recording, and like they record a song like that that's so fucking natural. That's what music is, man. And that's why there's like, there's this whole basis like performers or like actual writers or who really writes their music, ghostwriters, all that shit. For me, man, if you put something together with a team, it doesn't matter who does what, just do
Mm,
your role. Like
I
everyone's
like
got a
that.
job. You know what I mean? And like obviously the artist is the face, but the
Yeah.
things in the background got to work together, bro. And like if everyone's not doing your job, or you're worrying about the next man's job because you're worried, that you either need to replace or move on. But then if you decide to work with people, you have to trust in the team that you built. So being around the people that I've been around, I've had to trust, and I've had to learn what it is to believe in someone and
Gosh,
say, okay, let me see. Like it's not, I don't have to see you do it. It's just I'm gonna understand you can do it.
I
So
feel you on that. No, for real.
Yeah,
So
man.
we all into the knowledge nuggets up in here. So that's a real big time knowledge nugget. That's some corporate knowledge nuggets right there. I'm like Blocka's a CEO. That's what I'm feeling right there. And why I say that is because those are hard things you just said. For one thing, to pick the right people to be around shows there had to have been something along the way, that made you realize that that's important. But then the trust thing, oof, that's one of the hardest things that a lot of people have. Also, the lack of envy. So knowing your role, playing a position, these things aren't like little ideas. These things are literally how businesses are built. Everyone has a job to play within a business. Everyone has to do certain things. And you know what? Just because you might be like the face or whatever doesn't even mean you're the most important part. Like, you know what? You know who's really fucking important? Video editors. Those people are fucking wonderful because they do all the really boring hard shit, and often the artist has one of the funnest jobs sometimes, and there's a lot of really boring shit that goes into even the writers, all these people. Anyway, but yo, I want to
Sorry.
sorry, go on. No, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, to finish your thing, like the best video guy or the top 10 video guys for movies, let's say, for example, if you're not an A-lister, you're not better than them. You know what I mean? So there's only so many A-listers. Like when I speak these things, that's a category on its own. And then there's actors, but the A-listers, we know who the A-listers are. We know who shows up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that. But even just to the end of, let's say you take the roles, because I'm really fascinated about the roles that surround creating artistry in Montreal, especially in music. These are all pieces. Let's be real. Most artists can't edit a video. So without the video editor, there is no video for them to promote their song. In that regard, the video editor is an unsung hero of this industry that doesn't get the love he deserves, because even if he makes money on that service, without that service that he provides, the artist can't fully envision all of their shit. Trust, man, I tried to direct my shit. Nobody wants me to direct my shit. I'm not that guy. It's not really my job.
You know what? I'm glad that you actually saying what you're saying. Here's the better one, because I had a conversation today. I had a conversation with CY. And I was misunderstanding what he was saying till we understood each other at this exact point. If you're an artist and you're buying views, right, it's wrong. It's wrong.
I'm happy
only
to go
for
there.
One reason. It's only wrong. You're happy to go there? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I would say why it's especially wrong, because people can do it, sure. But what makes it even worse is when you post it. Now, if you're posting that you got 25,000 views or whatever, and you're posting this out, and you bought those, then I'm sorry, for me, myself, and I don't compute with that. Now, a lot of people might not like what I'm saying, but I understand there's business, there's image and stuff like that, but...
Ooh, can I add to that, if you're okay with it? Can I add to what you're saying? I don't want to counter it. I want to add to what you're saying. Because, I'm really in light of it. You know what?
Nice.
So here's the thing. I don't have a problem with paying for shit, because I hit this point where I realized that's what the game is a little bit. So I'm choosing to pay in different ways. So I'm doing contests, and it's still paying for shit, right? So in some way or another, you're going to have to, in some regard, advertise your stuff. But when you're doing a contest, it is blatant. Yo, what's up, Willie? Thanks for popping on the stream. It's blatant and in your face. I am clearly saying, yo, I want your attention. Here's some fucking money, right? That's kind of what I'm doing with a contest. I'm not buying views. I'm paying for advertisement. But when these guys, this is what drives me nuts, right? So when these guys post their cards, and you run some averages, and you're like, yo, the average amount of fucking views per person is 1.25, and the average song listen is 45 seconds. I'm like, dude, that's not good numbers even when you're posting it. So you pay. That's how I can spot paid now, because you run some averages and you're like, those numbers look funny to me, right? When you
run these numbers, you got 5,000 views, but on the 5,000 views, you have 10 likes or 20 likes and one comment or two comments.
It's nuts to me.
So look. So basically, what it comes down to it is, because I've never really done my thing as an artist, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say I don't care, because I really I don't want to care. And if you don't put it in my face, I definitely won't have to care about it. But for rappers, yeah, I think rappers want to compete, and there's a bunch of Atlantic Records and all these different.
That's what I mean.
buying views. People buy views. Man.
So it comes down to like framing it. Like, you know, your favorite rapper paid money for views. Like, you know he did,
Absolutely.
but you know it, and he's not denying it. It's when these guys like, oh, yo, 100,000 people bump my shit, and I'm like, yo, I mean, yeah, you're right. 100,000 people bumped your shit, but like, that's not fans. And I think there's this weird illusion of what a fan is. Like, I'm happy we're going here. We can go back to your story after, but yo, I love this shit, man. This is like the kind of stuff that makes for interesting clips after. But basically, fans are like the people that are not in the scene that support you, is my definition. They're not people who support you. They're people who are willing to monetarily support you, is I'm going to go with my, let's say, clients. Let's rebrand it just to make it clear. I'm interested in client metrics. How many clients do people have, right?
Would you sell your soul for money?
No, but you don't have to sell your soul.
Ask me that question.
Would you sell your soul for money?
I don't have one. You know why? Because if I choose to live a life where I'm a big time artist and I'm making a whole lot of money, but I gotta dress in some certain type of ways that I don't want to dress, like they made a bunch of black actors be moms, like Big Mama House and all these black people, to why the whole Dave Chappelle thing happened. If you got to do that to make the millions that you want to make, you might do it. So like, everyone's in a different position. Like, indie world is what you're talking about. Like,
absolutely,
real fans, like Twitch, like that's like an indie world. Like this, I'm getting into it now, is the indie world, the real, like I could see how genuine you are. And this, I like this shit. But like what we see on Facebook, Instagram, and all that, like, yo, that's a fake life.
But that's also like, okay, so there's a lot of people who do that shit, right? But that's just also pockets, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who don't do that shit, actually. So here, they might have the 1-2, they tried it out thing. But, like, what I realized, first off, we talk about, like, the world of, like, music, right? Like, everything I'm going to talk about's not celebrities, because nobody here is a celebrity. Nobody in the city is a celebrity, so everything in this city, as an example, is the indie world. That's just...
Watch out for Nia Ali, though.
Yo, I do. She's on my list. She's on a list,
Nia
yo.
Ali,
oh, my gosh,
Nia
she's so
Ali,
good.
I met her a few years ago. At I don't mean to cut you off, but I met her a few years ago.
Go for it, man. This is good.
At Silver Quay. It was me, Buds, Nia Ali, and Monkey all together, and then we had a freestyle. And like when I look at it today, how influential Monkey, Buds, and Nia Ali are,
yo,
to be even on that fucking same interview floor, I feel fucking blessed. But like when we talk, and fucking Maya Malkin. She's a fucking another one. She's on Virgin Radio right now.
So you know what I like about what you're saying? Just at a side note, is for a minute I had this realization. It's probably going to be a woman that's going to really fucking blow from here more so than dudes. Is just this gut feeling I have. Because, yo, these women is really tight with it. And I say that with all respect. I went to these 2 shows last August before all the times. And whatever. It was 2 shows back-to-back, all-lady lineups. And it was like the first time I ever saw every act prepared and ready to go. On time, and everybody stayed the whole time. I'm like, whoa, this doesn't happen. And then you go like to the other, the other crazy thing about these shows is there's no men. We're talking 50 ladies in this place. And I have a girlfriend, unfortunately, at that moment, but I'm there and I'm like the only single guy.
Did you say unfortunately?
No, I love this girl. She loves it. This is, she's good. She's great. She's probably fucking watching this. I'm totally fine. Like I can see her in the chat, But when I thought about it at a practical front, it was more like, listen, I've gone to so many shows that are just a bunch of dudes and there's no ladies. And I thought about it like, yo, imagine that one time you're at the show and it's like 60 girls in the bar and you're like the only guy. And at that moment, you're not available. And you're just like, okay. I mean, it's cool. But I thought about it at like, when you think about it, you're like, yo, that would have been like kind of fun and a whole other vibe in my life. Now I'm cool where I'm at. But like, I thought about it at this practical level. You see these guys and they're all at these shows and they're all complaining because there's no girls there. And then there's this whole pocket of women. And you know what they were complaining? Where's the guys at? I'm like, yo, this shit's fucking whack. But yo, what I have to say is I was highly entertained and very impressed at how talented everybody is in those 2 shows that I saw. Everybody was prepared. I think I saw Nia Ali before I knew who she was. And in hindsight, she was fucking ridiculously like talented. and her
Yeah.
name has come up so much. I have her on my like Montreal
That's
artist
what-
playlist, and every time her track comes on, it's like, but to that end, she's on the way. When I meant like nobody's a celebrity, I mean we still kind of all on the way there. There might be.
Maya Malkin is on Virgin. How many weeks now?
I don't know. I didn't even know that till you said it right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you know who she is?
No idea, dude.
She's got a pretty dope video. She did one of the performances on Honor Roll Records for the live show in November. She's on Virgin Radio right now. And like, look, I'm not here to like big up people because they make the radios.
No, big up people because they make the radio.
And I know how talented she is. And I've seen her quirky. She's fucking quirky, to tell you the truth. Like, if you go look at her videos and you see her style, she's like that. You know what I mean? And so it's completely different from like a Nia Ali. But like, look, if I just know some talent in this world, and like sometimes it's just blatant. You know what I mean? Like, do you know football? Well, Tom Brady. Everyone fucking knows.
I know who Tom Brady is.
What?
I know who Tom Brady is. Yes.
Exactly. When you look at Tom Brady play, everyone knows he's fucking great. You know what I mean? So that's really what it comes down to. So you see certain people in this game, and you hope they're great, and that's it.
But that's actually where a guy like you comes in, because I'm a rapper first, right? Like, I'm a rapper, and then all of a sudden I'm this interviewer media guy, and I'm like, oh fuck, the world is very different. And now I scouted a lot of things in the city. You know what I saw in 2020? I liked everything that came out that I heard, and there was stuff, everything from Corleone Brown dropping that old school shit to Travis Bryan, weirdly enough, his comrade, dropping that new school shit, which is just nuts, to all these different fucking cats. Like, even Bamboo Twigs, man, dropped 2 projects this year. Fucking Buds with that hoo-ha that gets stuck in your head.
Hold on. The Corleone, did he drop the video for that?
I don't know if anyone dropped videos.
Yo, I'm pretty sure I filmed that video with him.
I know that he dropped an album, but I don't know what happened with the video. I know he did a video shoot, and I said I was going to go, and then something happened in my life, and I didn't end up going because I'm a busy motherfucker, and sometimes I overcommit to shit.
I think I was there that day, and they did this whole fucking song, and I was in a part of the video and shit.
I don't know that it came out, but these guys are not guys that are in a rush. They just drop when they want and when they're ready and stuff. I've talked to Travis before on the channel and whatnot, but he's fucking great. I heard so much good music this year. Then you have guys like Don Dada who are fucking just killing it on the whole other front with producers. And
I know, but like, this is the point I'm trying to say. You mentioned 2 songs that I was in the videos and didn't perform because who was what? I'm in that whole video with Butts.
I couldn't. Okay, so here's the thing. I was watching that video, and because y'all are fucking green, it's very hard to identify anyone. And I think you're on the right of Buds, and I'm pretty sure that was you. And I'm like, is that Blocka? And I swear, I went back and watched that shit like 6 times in a row. That must have been fun to film.
It was pretty cool getting painted. I've never really been painted like that. Like, it's like, trying to take next steps and like adventure and do certain things and like whatever. It's a military song. So my biggest song in the city that put me on the map, that everyone found out who I was, is the one song that I have called Salute. I just sent this song to you, so you should have been able. You should be able to play it so everyone can hear it. Salute.
If you want to do that, anytime.
Track. Yeah. I'll send it to you right now. It's a military track, bro.
Yo, anytime.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. You play it at some point. I'll go whenever you're ready. But like, it's a military track that put me on the city that everyone found out. Like, oh shit, and it actually got me into a few problems.
Before we go with that, let's go back to your story, because now we're going back into your story stuff. I love the tangents. Don't get me wrong.
What story?
The story of Blocka. So what I'm trying to kind of accomplish with these interviews is to run through your life in a sense. Because that way, when we want to fill out your Wikipedia page, there's sourceable media available that you said the shit, right? And somebody has to get it on wax. Otherwise, nobody gets Wikipedia pages, and nobody's trying to get it on wax. But in general, where we're at is we know that when you're young, you have a versatile taste of music, and that you have access to the tapes, and you have that kind of world going on. And believe it or not, that shit's so different person to person, and there are actually correlations between shit like, you know, having tapes has, you know, these people tend to be more autonomous and more versatile when they're music, whereas other people tend to get locked in. Yo, what's up, Sammy C? Some people get like locked into like,
Sammy.
sorry.
I said Sammy. Yo.
And then, yo, shout out DJ Crystal Clear 666 for the follow. Because when somebody follows you on Twitch, the rules are you have to like shout them out. That's just the rules. So you got to follow the rules.
All right, DJ.
But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is I find that like just that tells us more about your character than you may even realize, just in terms of like how you started with music. Because you had access to tapes and shit. Other people just had radio and their parents were not into music at all. So there was nothing going on in their households. And then you start seeing this shit and it's like, yo, those people end up being the weirdo artists. And then you start seeing these little patterns and shit. So it's fucking nifty. But I'm curious.
Okay, let me add to this. No, this is the perfect venture, because as soon as I get into grade 7 and I'm in summer school, the Panasonic CD players just came out. One of my boys, like that I met in summer school, had the Panasonic CD player with Nas, the Message album. I think it was Illmatic. And I used to fucking love it. And I used to give him weed and cigarettes to borrow the CD player so I can listen to that shit. Because my parents couldn't afford that shit for me while I was in high school. So I must have gotten one in like grade 9. But that's when like CDs came out and shit.
Yeah,
that's how much it meant to me.
That's amazing, because it's kind of tied into like what was going to come next anyway. Because basically the beginning part is, you know, I was curious about nu metal though, because you said as a kid you got into nu metal. How did that happen? Like, what was it like in Korn and all that? I think you said, or Limp Bizkit?
I think I went to school, like I grew up in Celeron, and in grade 5 I moved to Kirkland. And when you go to Beacon Hill, a bunch of white people, because people be trying to say I'm white and shit because I speak all articulate, whatever, shit. But like, yo, you go to fucking white school, that's what they do. They play fucking big shiny tunes and shit like that.
Yeah, that is what we do. I know that.
They play fucking Oasis and Our Lady Peace and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly. Prodigy shit.
No, but even that, dude, big shiny tunes. A lot of people gonna resonate with that, right? Because yo, I know big shiny
Probably
tunes.
Not.
No, dude. Yeah. Well, anybody in Canada. Me and my girlfriend talk about big shiny tunes, and the other one, much that. Because it's the opposite. All the hip hop she got was from the fucking rap one that came out. Like the I don't remember.
There was MC Mario. There's MC Mario's fucking every year.
Much Vibe.
The Macarena.
Or something like that. But
yeah, there's Much Vibe. Yeah, Much Vibe, MC Mario, and Big Shiny Tunes, bro.
But there was also, anyway, there was one that was like the counterpart. Anyway, one of those came out. I remember it had like, you know, that what would you do if your son was at home? Like that album there. I just remember that shit so vividly. So I think most people in our age group grew up with that shit, and it just kind of stuff. Yo, even Willie knows about Big Shiny Tunes. It's just kind of people know what this is, man. If you're in Canada, if you're not in Canada,
white folk music. That's right.
It is what it is. but like at the end of the day, if you're not in Canada, maybe you don't know what it is. But that's still part of shit we grew up with. These kind of coalition whatever, these discs were actually really like significant to a lot of our pop music culture. So capturing these things and having these conversations are great for me because they remind me of shit I forgot about, and great for all of us because we can all remember together. And it's cool because
the fuck is that? What's that shit? Barbie, fuck. I'm
Aqua?
your Barbie girl, Len, all that fucking.
Oh my gosh, steal my sunshine.
All that fucking Sugar Ray, white people fucking. Bro, it was around me, you know, but then eventually rap came around. I think the first 3 albums I ever bought in rap was Jay-Z, Hard Knocks Volume 2, Busta Rhymes Flip Mode Squad, and the DMX's Hot in Hell in Here. I bought them all at the same time.
So what got you to the point where like you're like, I'm gonna go listen to rap and start buying this shit?
That's a good question. So I guess at some point I started realizing I like to freestyle. I like beats.
Ooh. And how old are you for that? How old are you when you realized that?
I think I started freestyling when I was 14. So I definitely bought the albums whenever in that range, maybe at the end of grade 6, whenever they came out, you know, I had them. But like those were the influences. Like listening to DMX, raw DMX, like I had every DMX album ever.
I
Like,
feel
you
it.
know, like when I used to buy albums, those were like an album I was buying.
Okay,
Like
I got a
Jay-Z
question.
like
Does
that.
the
Yeah.
was your voice this deep back then, and was that part of it? Were you like, DMX has this voice, my voice is this, they just go together?
You know, people act like my voice has been deep this whole time. Like they're like, yeah, when you're 12, you sounded like that, you know? But like it is what it is. I guess like I've been smoking since I was 12, so that's a long time, you know.
You
But I
know,
don't know how much
you're not the first one to say that to me about the smoking voice. But you know what's crazy about the smoking voice? I mean, it's probably like fucking unhealthy and nobody should encourage it. But it sounds fucking great on radio.
Yeah, I guess me crazy. Yeah, I get a coincidence. I don't know if you ever heard of the radio guy, like something Hunkman Jack. He was like a radio in like the 1950s, and everyone's like, "You sound like him," like multiple older people. And I went and listened to him. He does fucking sound like me, man. Hankman Jack or something. He very, very like the most popular DJ radio guy in like the 50s.
And you know what? It's good to know that that exists because I'm all about music history. So I'm very curious. I'm going to go bump that after.
Yeah,
But you know what?
well, radio history, radio history.
It's music too. I mean, to me, it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
kind of
music.
like correlated. I mean, you're right. In the big entertainment, media history is a better way to frame it. Media history. Um, but yeah, so that's really interesting. Why? Because you know you're in high school. Where did you go to high school, by the way? Also, were you born here? I forgot to ask if you were born in the Montreal.
Yeah, I'm born here.
And so yeah, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Beaconsfield High, and then I
Straight
got
up.
kicked out. I got kicked out and finished at where the fuck did Cal's Academy? That private school shit.
Yeah, I live right by Kells, so I know all
Yeah,
about that. It's
they tried shaking me up.
fair enough, man. School systems can be what they are, but I was just curious, right? Because I don't know, Beaconsfield is fucking far. I mean, I know where it is. I dated a girl in Beaconsfield one time, and so like I was all about that area, and I learned, you know, and then yeah, Kells is over here in NDG, right? That's that one.
Yeah, and then now I'm in the middle. I'm in Dorval.
Oh, fresh. Yo, Dorval's dope though, man. You got like a lot. You got that whole like fucking strip with the bars and whatnot, with the Golfo Max and all that crap, and it's actually like a fucking lit area to be in. I'm not gonna lie.
Callens, yeah. It's all right, man. It's Dorval. Fuck, you know, like it's great location. Like, cause I could just get everywhere in like 20 minutes and still. So, like for me, I was never one of those dudes that wanted to move out further, like to Bourgeois and all that shit. You know, that's too far out.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I mean, now she's all like, "I want to buy a house one day," and I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know if we're staying in Montreal when we end up getting to that point." Because I mean, how does one? Yo, we got a question from DJ Crystal Clear, and I'm all about like these user questions because it's fun.
Yeah, where's the question at?
Yo, it might pop up for you in a second, but ask Blocka if he listens to Southern rap.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right.
So let's just say probably one of my favorites is Scarface, Mary Jane. I definitely was a Nelly fan. I was a Ludacris fan. I was Andre and Big Boy fan.
I like how you
Like,
said
who else?
Andre and Big Boy.
Yeah, like shit. Man, I'm trying to think of like real like Atlanta niggas like Jeezy. Like if you buried me, this is a good one. If you had to bury me with an album and I only had like three choices, or I had one, I wouldn't be unhappy if it was Jeezy, Thug Motivation 101, and that's South. They don't get no more South than Young G. You know what I mean? That's South. You know, and like even Master P and shit, and like old school like Noya shit, and like Juvenile and all of them, like all that South music, and Bun B from like Houston and shit like that, like Trick Daddy from Miami. That's still it's East, but still South. You know what I mean? Like
To me, it's
definitely
very
grew up
South
with that.
sounding. I know what the South is, but like Florida is a weird one, right? Because
Yeah, Florida falls in that. You know, it's like East, but it's South.
what do you think of Ghetto Boys and 3-6 Mafia? Because he shouted those out, DJ Crystal Clear.
Yeah, Ghetto Boys, man. What's that fucking nigga's name with the fucking the little fucking short little nigga, man? I love
Bushwick
that
Bill,
nigga.
if I'm not mistaken.
Bushwick, yeah, Bushwick. Oh yes, that's a good one. And 3-6, yeah, for sure. Like 3-6 took over at one point. You know what I mean? Like Hustle and Flow. That's still one of my favorite movies.
Honestly, I'm a big fan of 3-6 Mafia. I don't know what it is, but like they're one of those groups where you can go back to their mixtapes in like the early 90s and they're fucking fire to listen to today. You can pretty much throw on anything from any part of their career. You might need to be in the right mood for it. Like, I'm not saying that every mood is a 3-6 mood, but if you're in that mood, it's always good.
Pat,
Yo,
shout out
big
Project
facts.
Pat. When we say 3-6, nobody's talking Project. But shout out Project Pat with that shit, man. Yo.
Fair enough. All
like
right.
I like a lot of Southern artists. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. It's kind of how this is. It's the most convoluted, all over the place shit you're probably ever gonna get in interview land. It's just kind of what it is.
You know what's funny? Because like everyone does this shit together on Twitch, and like the reason I'm so comfortable doing it, and I'm just gonna do what I want to do type shit, is because I fucking watch enough of it. Like especially the gamers. Like the gamers are there. They're talking a whole lot of shit. They're talking about the people that they're watching. All the people they're watching, they fucking know. They're in tournaments. They're getting paid. It's like, yo, what are you doing? Is what you're doing. It's just like, yo, it's real life. Like I'm real comfortable. I'm sitting in the couch. I'm in a condo. I just see the screen every once in a while. I see the questions coming up. This is the first time really twitching. I told you I'm about to get in that Twitch world.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. That's the end of the story of Blocka.
I'm jumping in. I'm convinced. Like this isn't hard at all. This is like
this is so this is what I was saying a little bit on camera, where I'm not 1,000%. You still with us? No, you are. It just cuts in, cuts out. It happens. I got to get used to it. My girlfriend is like, every single time that happens, you need to not say that because it's annoying. And I'm like, fair enough, it's annoying. I get it. She has good judgment. What do you think of ICP? I mean, I'm gonna move past the what you think of artist questions, but I'm curious. Yeah, because I'm a huge fan of them. So I'm actually very curious what you think of them. I'm gonna start asking people what they think of ICP. I think. We get it, man. You said you're plugging in. This is like the live, man. This is Twitch. This is the experience.
I don't have to apologize, so you don't have to say nothing either. Good.
That's it. We all gotta learn. It's a new universe. It's very different than being at the live show where we're kind of more accustomed. But I also think the future of this shit is gonna go right back into live environments, and there's absolutely no reason I can't book a bar and fucking do this and then just stream that shit to Twitch. Yo, people fucking, if you're already like accustomed to it, why the fuck not?
When you're ready to do your business, talk to me, because the first thing you don't want to do is necessarily go to a bar that you're not like.
I don't know, but
I'll just give you business 101. The one tip I'll give you is just, if you do that, it has to be regular.
Big facts. I do know what you mean.
But it has to be like one of those bars where like you're a regular at the bar, you're doing shows, and like the bar, fills up on that one day that you go on to make it worth it. Apart from that, you're better off getting your own shit like you have right now and being able to upgrade and move forward. It's just the new days.
Here's what happened. I talked to Sky Beats and he put a vision in my mind. I can't say I know how to visualize my vision. It was an idea. I hear what you're saying though, because I agree with you. I'm all about not taking stupid risks. So it would be a lot of market research and a lot of things. But what Sky Beats told me is, imagine doing this shit. Just imagine doing this shit. Only the rapper could spit some performances live at an audience. And yo, what I predict is going to happen is Joe Rogan and Joe Budden and them, they're all going to go on tour. And they're going to normalize the idea of talk shows in this type of an environment as a live event that people pay to go see. And only when they normalize it will I even venture down that path, because I am not the fucking pioneer here. I just predict this is coming. And I want to know that when it comes, I'm ready for that opportunity. But so in my head, I'm going, yo, this is going to end up being like a bigger like thing, man, if I can figure it out in terms of the live event. Because, yo, it would be, imagine that. And then you could just have people asking questions like in the fucking audience and shit. It would be fucking fire. But anyway, I do want to continue going through it because I bet your life is interesting. You've done a lot of fascinating things. Nobody fucking name drops all the people that you performed for. Nobody fucking is sitting there planning the way you are, dropping the kind of boss man knowledge nuggets you're dropping so far throughout this interview without a life. that has some interest in it. Now, usually I find it really starts to pick up after high school, right? So, but even to that end, in high school, you're doing some shit, and we got a couple of questions to still get through. Do you dance? Are you a dancer at all? It's okay if you're not. I'm a terrible dancer, but sometimes
I'm a North American great dancer, and I'm a Caribbean shitty dancer. Put it that way.
I respect the shit
Like
out of that.
I'm like anywhere in this world a good dancer. Let me rephrase that. Anywhere in this world I'm a good dancer, but in the Caribbean, like I got told how to dance. So like they don't dance the same way in the Caribbean. So like you really got to be on your game out there and really know what you're doing to like get a girl to like grind up on you and like do shit, because like you got to understand, like in the Caribbean, you can have like 10 girls shake their ass on you, and they can have like boyfriends or like shit like that, and like it really doesn't mean anything. So it's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's just like everyone just dances with everyone. So like as guys, I got taught like you just post up and just let them do their shit and fucking move your arms type shit. But in North America, you see how they be doing their twerks, like they don't give a fuck. They're bouncing left and right. You can grab a girl however you want from the waves. You can do all type of shit, fucking whatever, and it's cool. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, out here I know how to dance. I'm like, anything you do looks good. Out there, it's just like, yo, you're better off just playing your role and posting up, bro.
Yeah, that's big advice,
like,
man.
Straight up.
I love
straight
it.
up, like straight up. So yeah, I did dance in like grade 7. That's it. And then like obviously you got to dance or perform or like, you know, whatever you know, I can fucking slow dance with a girl. You know what I mean? Like I can fucking bring a girl back and forth and like spin her around. You know what I mean?
But that's even important shit. People don't even know how important it is. Yo, because let's say you're in corporate land, right? So I do office parties at work. I'm in like day job land the whole long. You know that the guys who can do that, you know, because in that world too, if you're at an office party, for some reason you can dance with who you want and it's okay. It doesn't really matter. I'm not necessarily saying for myself. I'm saying for a lot of people, those are the rules. So if you know how to do it all, everyone has eyes on you in that moment. So that's actually a big fucking move in the right circumstances to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think like the best way of saying it is like it's not a problem to be multi-talented and like hey, you know what? Like I put it this way. I don't think rap is a hobby to me. I think it's more than a hobby, okay? Although I'm not, you know, but have I written music and sold it? Yeah. Have I performed? Do I know how to record? Do I know how to freestyle? Can I do all these things? Yeah. Am I like the best at them? No, but I understand structure. But at the same time, like for evolution of whatever people want to do, like there's people that like walk down the street and they all walk the same way. I've never been the kid to walk down that way. I'll be on the other side of the street. So like, no matter what envisions I feel like I want to do, sometimes orchestrating and being patient is the best way to go about things, because you have to believe in yourself. And like, really, to be successful, you only have to be right once, if you think about it. You don't have to be right a million times. You don't have to fucking be right every day. You just have to be right once. So like, I believe in people that keep trying. Innovators try to fucking build 30, 40, 50, fucking 60 different things. And then eventually they're like, boom, there we go, man. So I never put down anybody for trying, but I will put you down for not being responsible. Like your choices, like you shouldn't be hungry but I see you smoking weed type shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like on a personal level shit.
Dude, it's fair enough.
Boy,
Look, here's the thing. Even just let's talk about weed. I smoke a lot of weed now, but I can afford it now. If I go back to like 2012, 2013, when I had all the energy in the world, if I had just not smoked pot and I had just not done that, dude, I would have popped or something. I'm not like saying I would have popped, but like I would have focused myself and created some shit and ridden some waves and gotten some, you know, some shit happening. But instead it was like, put out the song, then go spend $300 on pop before investing in my music again. And it's like, you know, with that kind of work ethic, I sincerely and legitimately handicapped my career until I was willing to do things like, you know, make sure that my sound engineer gets a salary every month. Because you know what? A sound engineer that gets a salary every month, even if it's a small number, it's not a big number. It's a night he likes the number, but he gets that every month. Why? Because it shows him that I'm loyal to him as much as I want him to be like loyal to me, kind of thing, right? So I started making choices like that. I started investing in gear, and my whole life changed. So I feel what you're saying about it, because if you really, even to add to the innovator thing, yo, this is not my first rodeo. This whole fucking like interview shit. This is maybe like the
I like
fifth,
it though.
but it's like
I like it.
it might be like the fifth or sixth thing I've tried. I've tried some other shit. I tried to be a gamer even on Twitch. I suck at being a gamer on Twitch. It's not my shit. But I spent 5 years failing and learned how to like talk in a way where I can kind of roll with shit and have a presence on. This isn't even my first presence on camera. I tried to be an asshole. I tried to be funny. Nah, people like it when I'm fucking goofy and sincere. So I had to learn all of this shit. So through failure, you end up actually learning stuff so that when the right cards align, you're able to keep the shit that starts to appear. I had to learn so much shit to be able to like handle even doing the workload that comes with this life, and how back to that trust thing. The only reason I'm even able to maintain the pace of interviews I have this week was trusting having other people come into this team and help handle different elements of it. I can't be my video editor anymore. I just can't do it, you know. I can't also write all the copy. I can't, because then I can't have the conversations and be ready to go and be fresh and with the energies and shit. Anyway, so I'm saying is everything you're saying completely resonates with me at every level of how to be successful, and it's all relative to success, you know. And you know what's crazy about today? It's never been so unage gated, as in you could pop at 50 in a way that was probably never possible in the past, in many ways, in pretty much every field, and it's fucking weird. Sorry?
Because you'd be dead. Because you would only live to 55 or 60. That's the
Big
reality.
facts. So now people live to like a lot older. I think 70s or 80s is the average age now.
Yeah, you're good if you live till 75, 80, man. Like obviously people would want you to live longer, but like if you can make it to 75 or 80, you know, it's not too young to go. Like it's better than what others had. You know what I mean? That's the realistic way I can look at it. But look, people live at their house longer now. Like you got people that live at their house till they're 30 or 35, and like it's not unnormal now. We're in a different generation where you got to adapt with times. Like new technology comes out, you got to do it. Like they used to fucking make cars that had keys. They make cars that push to start now. Soon there's gonna be cars that start in a different fucking way, and you just got to know how to do it. You know, laptops went from computers to laptops to flip phones to smartphones, and you got to adapt with the times and move forward. Some don't, and it won't ever affect anything they do in life. For others, it will. For people like ourselves that need to use audio and like do little things like that, yeah, you got to kind of maintain what you're doing. Like my fucking dentist, he's like a second father to me. The man still went to school when he was like 55. He was teaching to make sure he can just be the best of who he can. So I think the one, and I know I'm not here to give advice.
No, you're here to give advice. You're here to give advice.
Oh, I'm here to give advice. Please don't not take chances and fucking look 20 years back later and regret.
Big
and
facts.
don't do shit you really don't like. I don't think anyone's really successful. I understand there's a grind, and I'm not saying don't do what you have to do to like survive and be better, but in the end, don't do it if you don't fucking like it.
Big
Just
facts.
don't,
That's why like people keep asking me for album reviews now, and I'm like, I don't like doing album reviews like I used to, so I don't want to do them. Let's do an interview instead. That's fun. And I don't think people. So what happened to me is earlier this year, even I was fucking miserable by the summer. I was not having fun. My Patreon, the way I had structured it, was stupid, and I was selling reviews too cheap. And effectively, it overtook our lives, and they were telling us what to review. And then it's like, yo, this isn't even for me anymore. I don't even get a say in this shit after months, and it really frustrated me. And even in this world where maybe you might like something, when it stops being your vision of what you want it to be, it's not fun. And if it's not fun, because you'll put yourself through hell for anything you think is worth doing, right? You'll it's not like the grind becomes an enticing, amazing thing when you feel that like equilibrium of all the things feeling right in your soul as you're pursuing it, right? So
Well,
that's
is it hard? Is it hard to make your bed?
yes. I mean, to do it in the
If
morning,
if
yes.
if it's hard to make your bed, then it's probably gonna be hard to do anything else
It's very hard to do
because
everything.
the answer should be no. It's not hard
Okay.
to keep your house clean. It's not hard to wash dishes. It's not hard to clean your bathroom. It's not hard to make your bed. But it is hard to get up at 6:30 in the morning with 3 kids, going to your first job in the winter with no car, -40, taking the bus during COVID to go feed your kids, go there, come back home, go fucking to daycare. Those things are hard. So
Yeah,
when
that
I go
sounds
to
hard.
someone's house, and when I go to someone's house and I'm like, yo, you're fucking nasty and you're not doing anything that really lets me feel like it, then I'm like, yo, in my mind, if we're close enough, we're okay. I'll tell you. If not, I may not be back because that's wrong. And like
Yo,
you're talking this 1 second, you're talking to someone that came from the life of doing drugs. I know how nasty that is to people to see your self destruct. So when you see placement and like the way people keep their stuff too, that's also a judgment of like that it shouldn't be hard. So like if you really like doing something, I guess no one likes making a bed.
well, it's
No.
okay. So here's the thing. It's really hard for me to want to make my bed at 6:30 in the morning. I could make my bed at 1 p.m. very easily.
But is it hard? That's all I
No,
ask
okay.
you. Is it hard to make a bed?
No, it's not
Like,
hard. I may have mistaken your question in a
yeah.
quite literal thing
I,
because you said in the morning. So in the morning, it's extremely hard for me to make my bed. That's some shit that like I can't like I'm fucking. It takes me like 2 hours to turn into a person. But I have
I
other
don't mind.
shit I do in the morning to like make up for it. I walk around. I get steps in and shit. Anyway, that's not the point.
My bed's not even made. I didn't make my bed
But
today.
I
But
get
if
what
I
you're
had
trying
to
to say
make it, it
because the
wouldn't be
truth
hard.
is, so here's where it gets hard. I've been like I've done a look. There's no such thing as an extremely 100% enjoyable process. So I appreciate what you're saying. If you're gonna complain about the fucking smaller little details of shit, you're probably not gonna be able to maintain anything. Because here's the problem. I love elements of this. There are elements of this I don't like. Here, even take music. I like writing songs, dude. I love performing songs. I'm not sure I really like fucking recording songs anymore. I do it because it's part of the
Right.
job, but it's where 80% of my time ends up going now is in fucking recording because it's just, I'm not great at it anymore. I don't know. Fucking it is what it is. The writing is
Right.
amazing. Performing is amazing. Promoting is all the other parts of being an artist I love. But then there's that one part I don't like. So to your point, if I'm not willing to like do it, I'm not going to get it done. And that's where I think we were really going with it. You need to be able to be willing to do things. And if you actually have to do all that shit, dude, fuck, eh? I don't even have kids, man, so I fucking feel like a spoiled brat right now. But yo, that's
Well, I
big
don't have
respect.
kids. I'm not. I'm definitely not talking about myself.
Okay, okay.
I was not talking about myself. I got no kids. If I got kids, nobody told me about it. They just running around like real talk. But what I'm saying is, like, I've been in my car. Actually, I'm not even driving now. I get my license back on the 9th. But I've been in cars and seeing these women, and my dad taught me a lesson back in the day where like going down, I don't fucking know where we're going, somewhere in Dorian, and there are some like hitchhikers, and I was like, they're bums or whatever, and my dad's like, yo, if you say that again about any of them, I'm picking one of them up. And I was like, oh yeah. And I tested that nigga, and that nigga he showed me what happened. I fucking made fun of this, like, oh, look, another one. He's like, oh yeah, pulled over. She fucking got in the car. She fucking stank like fucking shit. I think we were going fishing or something. She stank like fucking shit. He drove her right to fucking her house, like this old barnyard, like back in fucking Dorian, like years ago before it's developed. And he taught me a lesson of understanding you don't know who's who when you're walking the street. And like, that's why you have to be careful. But at the same time, like that person is that type of person, like they're living that life, they came from like, well, my parents came from, like, my mom's from Jamaica, my dad's from Guyana, South America. They came here like both Irish backgrounds, like, my great grandmother, I knew her from Ireland, white, like my family's half split, segregation, all this shit. And they come here, and I felt in points in my life where I'm not being responsible enough by not being somewhat successful. What do I deem success? My happiness is number one with that, because I don't want to be depressed or angry about shit that I caused for myself. So all these things lead into the success of like the other things, because where am I concentrating my efforts? Is it cleaning myself up, or is it producing in life and being able to do an interview like this and being able to like really like dive deep and understand like things are okay, bro. Like uh I'm in my condo, I'm by myself. Like I got my PS4, I'm fucking chilling. I can fucking afford my own beers and cigarettes and weed and all that shit. I can take care of all the things I need to take care of. But at the same time, to be able to do that, every once in a while I do shit I don't like, you know, and not being a yes man or whatever. It's just you gotta play the roles and you gotta help in certain ways
So yo,
sometimes when,
I like what
you
you're
know?
saying there because I would argue I don't like everything my company does. I can't go into details on some literal contract shit, but there are
Right.
elements of the software industry that are very dark and evil and ethically make me feel like I'm no better than anybody that does any dirt because we just do legal dirt. Not that my company breaks the law, to make it abundantly clear, my company is very much legal and shit, just but at an ethical front, some of the practices can be construed as doing dirt if you were to flip it into another industry. And yo, when I listen to Griselda, I take notes so we can do better at work with software, okay? Because there's so much between the crack game, and I'm not saying you sell crack, but between the crack game and the software game, right? There's so much between these two industries that are so fucking fascinatingly similar that I'm like, yo, I don't necessarily like what I do for my day job. It's just what I got to do to finance what I want to do until
What
these
is
can
that
pay my shit.
exactly?
Sorry?
So what is it exactly you do
So
for
yo,
your
I
company?
work for a software company. They operate and own a bunch of software, PDF editor, a fucking photo editor, a bunch of random shit. When I dug in, man, they have published shit on the Switch, some random ass title. Like they'll fucking fuck with anything they can. They're a big France conglomerate. We're on the France Stock Exchange. 9-figure
Oh,
shit, I think, is the value. Um, I'm
right,
responsible for community management and reputation management and social media shit. So
right.
we building out a little social media team under me because like we get I don't know fucking 3,000-4,000 comments on our pages for paid ads and crap. So trust me when I say I know what the fuck real social media paid Facebook looks like in a way that I don't think many of my peers in this city have ever seen paid social media to budgets that I've seen because my company has real fucking money, and so they have to push it. Yo, you see their shit all over if you fucking go up photo editing land because that's how the game is played.
Right. So you doing that allows you to do this, which makes you happy in the end.
Yeah, and then now that I understand how this world works because of my day job, yo, you guys don't even understand. I've been in this place for 10 years. So for 10 years, I've gotten an education in customer service, community building, how software and technology evolves because I've been in a software company the last, like, let's say, involved in a software for like 6-7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And then social media has been part of my job for like 6 years too. So how social media evolves, all of this is part of what I get paid to learn. Part of my half. Okay, my job is like this, dude. I have to Google shit, learn shit, come up with a plan, and then organize the people to make the plan come to life. Like I'm basically like a student almost. It's fucking crazy. I don't hate my job. I don't like corporate America in the way that it manifests itself because stock prices are fucked up and it's all about growth and da 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 da. But what I actually do for a living is not very dissimilar. I do webinars. You know what's the difference between a fucking webinar and this? Nothing. There's no real difference, dude. It's just I'm talking
Yeah.
about software
What
then.
a seminar is like face to face. A webinar is face to face on camera. There
Yeah.
is a big difference.
No, but I meant like this kind of like conversation, what we're doing here versus what I'm doing at work. It's the same setup, it's the same gear, it's the same software. It's just a different audience and a different subject matter.
Yeah, yeah, right. And you just need to be articulate and understand what you're talking about, right? So, like, a lot of people can like they can say like, they can name me like every capital in the fucking world, but they can't count backwards from 100 to 0. You know what I mean?
That's an
Like,
interesting thing.
so, right? So, like, I'm good at understanding what you're good at. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I do. That's the best thing I can do. I'll figure it out. I'll see it. I'm a good examiner. I'm a good evaluator. I'm pretty sure I can tell most of the times that I'm accurate with like what I believe in. Like, obviously you're gonna be wrong sometimes, but
Big
like
facts.
that's life, you know. That's life.
Yo, but
Experience.
half the fun is predicting. Like, I follow this guy Scott Galloway. He's a big time marketer. I'm so excited. My girlfriend bought me one of his books. But I was watching his it was an hour and a half video, whatever, that he did on his predictions for 2021, and he starts off with what he got wrong the previous year. And he does this every year. So they do predictions all year. Like, Amazon's gonna go into healthcare. So I've been watching this now a couple of years, and yo, it's not about being right. It's about predicting. It's about getting into the habit of paying attention to make these kinds of educated guesses. Because, yo, I promise you one thing. If you start paying attention to the patterns, you start going, yo, maybe the PS5 is in a weird place. Like, here's my prediction. Sony does an ecosystem quite the same way that all of its competitors do. And if you look at how everybody's moving to subscription model services in the future of life, I mean, my computer out hardwares a PS5 and it's 2 years old, right? So, I mean, end of the day, Microsoft is my team. I get the Pay Pass. I get all the Microsoft games, right? Just because, like, I'm a Microsoft guy.
Yeah.
And so that's an ecosystem. Apple's getting into gaming. Apple has an ecosystem. I'm like, yo, Sony's ecosystem is so, like, and I might be wrong, guys. I could be wrong. I don't know that
So
Sony's not. That Sony has no place 5 years from now in the big picture, in the world of entertainment, in the place that it's owned. Because
see, that's not a prediction. That's a bold prediction.
It is bold prediction.
That's a bold prediction.
And I could be very wrong.
That's a bold prediction that Sony in 5 years. Are you joking me? There's so many Sony classics of like equipment that they would never go broke.
So no, I didn't mean the company. I meant the idea of like the PlayStation land being quite as relevant as a powerhouse.
But why are they not now? Like, since PlayStation, the first one came out, who runs things? It's only PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. Which Nintendo was Nintendo, Super, Sega fell out. There's only like 3 competitors.
All right, so let me come through with this. I can answer this shit with some bigger points. 5G.
Yo, hold on. On Twitch, when someone needs to take a piss, how do you do that?
Oh, you just tell me, and then you go take a piss.
Yeah, okay. That's what's happening, dog.
Anyway, I just want to elaborate, Blocka, that this is what I would call a thought experiment that I'm having publicly with you, even if it is a bold fucking prediction. I could be very fucking wrong. And I don't mean that Sony doesn't have a place, but I'm saying that certain things are changing in the world, such as 5G. 5G is about to make mobile way big. In a way.
What do you mean? PlayStation 5 has 6G.
That's fine. But 5G makes mobile internet very powerful in a way that lets people do shit like watch YouTube and a bunch of shit that could never have happened before. But it also lets them play fucking powerful games via streaming to a device. Now, I understand that Stadia failed, but Stadia is a concept that's actually got a lot of power if somebody can deliver it right. So what I'm saying is that it's going to end up getting really fucking ecosystem-y. And so what I mean by that is Apple and Microsoft and everybody's going to provide the same shit in 5 years. And it's just going to be who has the best ecosystem. So what I'm wondering is, how does Sony compete with Microsoft?
Well, the same way they've been competing. First of all, it's a PC to a system, right? So like everyone's building these PCs, but PCs still have like hackers and all the different type of shit. If you want the fastest gaming possible, PC is going to be the way. I think when it comes to gaming, already with the virtual reality stuff and all that different type of shit that they have going on, they have the money to keep on doing this. Like, if you look at I was looking at Sony stock before the PlayStation dropped. I haven't actually looked at it again, but they were like at $75 a fucking stock, man. Like, when are they losing money? Gaming only goes best for even times like this, and even after, people love wasting their time.
No, you're right. Their stock actually jumped. That's a good point. Now, here's the thing. I'm not actually a console gamer, so a little bit. I sometimes make my predictions a little bit based on what I want and what my exposure. So there's a whole lot to console gaming that I can't relate to. And so sometimes hearing somebody like you just express the benefits of it sometimes, or to even go, yo, check the stock price. Yo, I think the PS5 did very well, and it's going to do it extremely well as a console. But I'm trying to, I think this is the end of consoles, and it moves into post consoles after this, right? Like, how does the console game stay forever when we're gonna move? Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, how does this really happen?
They will be the creators of whatever comes out next. What they will do is do what every market does. Here's an example. I'm watching Shark Tank, and this girl goes on Shark Tank, and she made ice cream with vegetables in it that tastes fucking delicious. She did not get a deal from the Sharks. Why? Because every major competitor that makes ice cream will just fucking make the same ice cream and bully you out. So Sony has that budget. Sony is a fucking almost $1 billion company. They're owned by how many other Universal and all this shit.
I accept what you're saying. Everything you're saying is really good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So one company creates something, then Sony will just look at it and just copy it.
All right.
Then become a competitor.
I accept that. That's actually a really powerful fucking idea, because in the idea of ecosystem, Sony has something that a lot of people, that I undervalue because I've never really been a Team Sony guy, but brand loyalty. And you're right. They have a finesse to them. They're very Apple in the way that Microsoft is not. So they're like Apple about how they approach video gaming, I would argue. It looks sleek. The experience, even like the startup screen is sleek. And so when I'm really thinking about what you're saying, when I really think about their position, because, yo, they have money. It was never really about the question of Sony. They do a lot of shit that is big fucking money, where even their video game department might not be the biggest source of their money, kind of thing, you know? I think it's a huge source of their money.
They're in movies. They're in entertainment, right?
They're in everything.
Such unlimited budget.
They're terrible at movies, though.
I don't know. They make some good music, but they got everything. Like, you got to look at these companies. These are like the companies that wait to steal your ideas. You know what I mean? Like, they wait for the next person to do it, and they steal the ideas. That's basically it. So, like, in the end, they will always survive. I'm sorry I'm making noise. I'm cooking right now.
Yo, we good, man. Listen, I starve for this kind of conversation in my life. Do you think people really want to talk to me about my predictions about Sony in a serious way and discuss the nuances of why Sony stands a chance in the bigger market? No, nobody wants to have that. My girlfriend most certainly does not want to talk to me about that, and I'm not allowed to see anybody for the next like fucking 3 weeks. So this is delightful for me, dude. You gotta cook, you gotta do what you gotta do. I respect it.
Yeah, we gotta eat still. Like, this is why, like, being an entertainer and stuff like this, and like doing something like this, and it being natural, it's like you got to be able to multitask and do different things. You know, like what could be hard or what not hard. But in the end, these big companies like this, I don't doubt that these companies survive longer than the others because they already have the market. Like, everything's a monopoly. When I was in university, I did a media class, and this media class basically told you, like, yo, all these companies are fucking owned by, like, there's only 8 media companies that own all the media companies. You know what I mean?
Yes, they do.
Like there's not, like, you know, there's Warner and there's Comcast and there's shit like that. And then there's a million different networks that go underneath it. And, like, nobody would ever know or believe this. But that's how it is. So,
no, I mean, I actually am following you, right? So I follow this guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name right now, but anyway, Mans breaks down like shit, like how PepsiCo owns everything. He has a whole series like Mars is bigger than you think, and this company is bigger than you think. And when you really look at the structure of corporations, it's really eerie how like, really, it's all just like umbrella corporation after umbrella corporation, so that when you're looking at the brand at the bottom and you trace it back up, there really is only, like, I don't know, 8 fucking major corporations in any industry that deals with everything. Like, life is more of an oligopoly than it ever. I don't know if about the past, but it's very oligopoly like these days in a big fucking way. It's definitely not a free-ish market in the way that we understand a free market in the textbooks.
It's just they run it, they own it, and, like, that's what it comes down to. And, like, they're not giving it up to anybody, and you gotta have money to do it. So, like, there was this company that I was looking at from the Twitter feed. There was a company that was supposed to compete with Elon Musk called Fisker Electrics, and their stock rose so much that if I would have bought the stocks and sold it, I would have made like 3,000 in like two weeks. And I never went to do it. And now Elon Musk is like the second richest guy in the world, and all of a sudden, like any stock advantages you thought you would have had in any other market is now gone because his stocks are worth so much. He's gonna pump so much money into just like making billions into electric. So how do you compete with that? Like, you're worth so much money, you can't compete. You just buy every company out. When you can't compete with a company, you buy it. Now you're a company. You know
and even if you like go back into the world of software, a lot of people don't know this, but in a lot of ways, app developers create apps with the specific intent of having one of the big four buy you out. That's actually a goal. Like, you're not ever going to be successful, and if they don't buy you, they will steal your idea, because like you just have to look at Reels as a recent example of you know that Reels copied TikTok almost like not pixel per pixel, that probably just enough to avoid copyright, but they flat out stole the TikTok concept with like no fucking anything other than, yeah, we're just doing it too. And like, so to your credit, I think Sony is the kind of people that can wait for people to figure out something like a VR and then drop the Sony VR experience, and that VR experience outperforming everybody else's, and they have the power to just wait for everybody else to fuck up. So
yeah, wasn't it Nintendo that started first with the Wii, and then Xbox started their thing, and then PlayStation came out with their fucking remote, you know?
Does PlayStation have a remote thing now? I haven't really been following.
They used to have the remote on the PS3, like the virtual reality remote type shit. Yeah.
But I definitely know they had a PSVR at one point, and it didn't do very well. And they probably, now that I'm thinking about it from everything that you're saying, which is actually super helpful, right? Because I'm happy to be wrong. I like being wrong. Being wrong means I have better ideas in the future.
You're not wrong. Remember, it's a bold prediction, so you're actually not wrong.
That's fair, but I might refine my prediction a lot after this conversation, because you brought up many factors I hadn't considered with relation to their longevity and their power. Like, they can afford to, even if they had, like, they almost went bankrupt over the fucking PS4 or the PS3 or whichever one had the Blu-ray came out. And I know that because I was working at a video store at the time, and at first the Blu-ray didn't do the pornos, and they were having some trouble getting all the fucking because HD DVDs was a thing back then, if you remember, and Microsoft had banked on them. But HD DVD did the pornos, and the pornos gave them enough money to be a splitting and dividing factor and creating a war with Sony that Sony was at that time not in the best position to fight. So Sony compromised its values and started working with porno, and within 30 fucking days, dude, HD DVD was done. And so when you look at the situation now, they probably learned from that, and they probably are ready. Like, they are ready. And that's the kind of shit I wasn't really thinking about, was how ready they are to handle a situation like this, and how okay they are with not being first. They don't have to be first. They're fucking Sony, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to be first.
That's a fucking great point. Whereas Facebook has every fucking desire and intention right now of being first in this new era of video game markets of virtual reality, because they're not even a contender until virtual reality is a norm. Upon which Facebook's going to be a monster, because they are going to have a lot of experience and threshold in the future of this. Microsoft's also prepping for VR, though. Don't get me wrong. They have that. I don't know if you ever seen their fucking HoloLens series that they're working on, where it's like VR, AR hybrids, and like, yo, this shit's way out of my price point. This is like trying to entice my CEO to buy it to play with more than it is trying to get me. So they're like $3,500 per unit type shit. And that's like prototype levels. But basically, yo, it's like you would put on this headset and the whole room becomes a workspace. And it's like a combination of like VR and AR and everything. And it's like fucking nuts how this shit ends up playing out. But so I'm seeing all these people putting into money, and then I'm thinking, you're right, Sony's just skipping the R&D costs right now. They're not fronting that bill this time. Fair enough. I can see that point. But you said something interesting about taking media in university. So we know that let's go back just to recap a little bit. So we know in high school you was freestyling and you got into music in that regard. What else were you doing with music at that time? Were you actually serious about it, or was it just kind of a casual thing?
Well, I don't know if you. It's funny that he just hollered at me to help out one of his artists the other day, but David Hodges was the first
Yo.
person I recorded at. Yeah, so Hodges was the first place I ever recorded from.
Okay.
And we all came from the West, so that was like a big influence in like seeing someone like himself like take it so serious. But also Buds was one of those type of people when he asked me about what I felt about rapping, and I basically, he's like, is it a hobby for you? And I was like, he's like, well, it's not a hobby for me, man. You know what I mean? And I understood from that point, it's a hobby for some, it ain't a hobby for others, but you gotta show your respect to what people do, and you can't, like, you can not like people or like people, but respect is a different thing, and like understanding like someone's hustle or what they really believe in, what they want to do, makes a big difference. You know what I mean? So
I do know what you mean, and I like that you said that. That's a big time knowledge nugget, because some people treat music like a passion or a hobby, and that's cool. There's no disrespect to that. Other people treat it like a business, and they may also be a passion and a hobby. They could also be people who do both, we'll say. But I think in what you're saying is there's worth identifying the individuals and what they are. And let's be clear, David Hodges is fucking legit. He's a guy that I don't think enough people know about. So I know him because I went to Abbott, and one time I was at the Agora, and at the Agora,
you know Crazy K?
I do not, but I know that one time I was at the Agora and David Hodges rapped, and that was the first time I ever saw a rapper rap live in my fucking life. And it was David Hodges at John Abbott College, and he was still on that double time fucking super fast shit, and like, yo, blew my fucking mind, dude. And he's like 19. Then I'm working at the Super Club Videotron, and one of my colleagues is friends with the Jessica girl. So David Hodges is effectively in the video store renting movies from me for like 2 fucking years at this point in life. So I really like David Hodges. He's a humble fucking dude. But when you actually go listen to his albums, and that guy has like 8, 9 multiple albums before he went and transitioned into the kind of guy he is now. Like, his music
like the orchestra type shit.
Sorry?
The orchestra type shit.
Man, and he does a lot of helping community shit now. Like, he's one of the most community involved, like, gives back motherfuckers I think really is out there. And to that end, not enough people, like, I just think know who he is. I don't know. He's a guy worth looking up. He's very talented, and when he said his name, it just made me think, people need to know how much David Hodges does to give back to the fucking world right now.
Well, that's the reason why the names that I drop, like influential names, they mean something, because they might not be the biggest to everybody, but like, I'm saying the name because like it's something special, and like that was the first place I ever recorded in my life. And then after that, I had never recorded anywhere else. Yeah, I recorded in a few places, but any of my songs that I ever did like to show rock or whatever, they were all done at Buds' condo or in the studio at Buds'. I think I did one at Sky's for the song that we did. Not that we did, but me and CY did. I did the first recording there. I think I changed it up at Cali's. But like, yeah, man, like this type of shit, like these people, man, to me, man, like
they're big
when you
names.
talk about dedication and work, they put that dedication and work in 100%. There's no denying it.
I think it's cool that you said David Hodges, because when I start my story, if anyone were to do this with me, that guy is a huge part of it. I think David Hodges is when I said, wow, like that's the first time I saw a real life person do it, and he was local and he was good. It wasn't like, anyway, but so that's really cool. That really made me happy. Also, crazy enough, Sammy C says Hodges was her sub teacher. So like, that's how fucking connected. How connected he is.
Hodges is a teacher. Hodges is a teacher. I think he still teaches and shit. But I know he's on the Big Mac shit. He has an artist from like Winnipeg. He that just dropped an album, and I put a little support about the album and stuff. So that's how I ended up talking to Hodges. But like Hodges didn't just like reach out like that, but him reaching out to me and talking with me was fucking dope, because like we grew up together. So there's a million people in the West that I could say about that I want to shout out to everyone that knows that I got love for them. I don't got to mention every name, but in the end, there's a lot of artists that I grew up with out here in this city. There's a lot of artists that I fuck with. There's a lot of artists that I know that do their shit in so many different ways. And it's just a blessing. And it's unfortunate that nobody blows up. But like,
a lot of those people that you mentioned are eating though.
I'll make a prediction, and I said it. I said it prior to the pandemic, and I'm gonna say it after the pandemic. And it's already in fruition. But look, in the next 2 years, we are gonna have a major Montreal artist.
Facts.
I don't know what genre it's gonna be, or if it's a guy or girl, but someone's gonna be major.
Dude.
There's K-Bands, and there's Enema, and there's Tizo, and all these guys are major in the French market. But I mean, major,
we gonna have it
like international.
Dude. When you look at the youth, when I look at what the young people are making, oh man, I'm convinced. I am the choir here. I am seriously so convinced that this is not going to be just that. I think Montreal might dominate this decade, is how much talent is just ready to pop off here to go. Because here's the thing. Once that floodgates open and people dig into Montreal, there is so much fucking talent here that it's nuts. And here's the other side. There's so many producers here.
Right.
And there's so much ecosystem here. Now, people may argue it's been disorganized for a while and there's a lot of past times, but now the world changed. So everybody gets a reset and we can come back in.
We have name producers.
We have some fucking people that you're right. Grammys name producers, I don't know.
We have that. Yeah.
So when I see that, and then I see how so many people are building, even the fact that people have interest in what I'm doing, right? The fact that people have interest in what I'm doing with these interviews just shows that there's something happening in the city right now that has people not in the same vibe to me as other things. And then even when you speak of Cali, which I think is crazy because you brought him up, he's my guest tomorrow. So it's fucking nuts that yeah, he is. He doesn't I haven't seen him do some shit like this for a minute, so I feel blessed as fuck that he's gonna come on and be my guest tomorrow.
Tell him I say what's good.
I'm planning on it, man. But the fact that he comes up and he's touched so many people, that's a guy who almost eats completely off of the music. Then you look at a guy like Buds. He's got so much built up for himself. And I talked to Buds for a long time. We talked off camera almost as long as we talked on camera, and I really appreciate his ethic. The way he does stuff, and I'm okay, I get you now. I understand you in a way where I did not maybe before, but you're right. He takes it very fucking seriously. So I think in a lot of ways, all the pieces are in place for it to line up proper. But I love the names you mentioned because Sky is fucking ridiculous too with it. All these people you mentioned are serious. They're paid off of it in a sense. They're not people that are just casual with it. And I really like that about that list of names that you gave before. But I do. So you basically rolling with Buds back then, and then he's very serious with it. At what point are you I don't know? Are you trying to be a rapper at first? Are you trying to be something else at first?
So this is what really happened. Okay, I was in a relationship for 5.5 years.
Okay.
And I went out and moved out to Ontario to be with my girlfriend. And at one point, I got an offer from CBC for an internship program that I turned down, okay? And at that time, Buds was just starting, and I think there was THC 24-hour radio. And he was telling me yo, man, we'll set it up, bro. We'll set it up. You can just do the radio from there. Don't even worry about it. You'll do it from there. It's all good. Let's do it. And I was nah. But what happened is I came home from one Christmas. When I came home for the Christmas, Buds had just finished doing this video. The one on Verdun.
Yep.
He had just finished it. So he said, yo, bro, come and check this whole fucking shit out. So I checked it out, and he had a room in the basement. And I was already thinking of coming back to Montreal. I ended the relationship. I was thinking of coming back to Montreal. And I was yo, you got this room for me? He's yeah, man. So he hooked me up with the room. So he hooked me up with the room. I started trying to do the music thing, but realized, wait a minute, I ain't getting that money. So I just said, yo, man, how can I get this fucking money? Like, yo, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I can't just be making like 15% or 20% or whatever, or just doing like 10%, or like, I need like money, bro. Like, I need to make this a job. And he's like, well, you need to find a niche. You need to find something that's good for you. So that's when I ended up stumbling, because of certain people, into the radio thing. And then that's how we turned the radio thing into Makeway Radio.
Yeah,
and that's how that whole fucking thing started, with me doing radio and finding my niche and like understanding. And with that, then I started hosting and doing major events. So you asked me like,
I gotta pause you there. Actually, we gotta pause there. Makeway Radio is actually kind of significant to behind that suit in a big fucking way. One of your guys. Do you remember Chris Chrome? He did 360 some weed smoke show on Makeway Radio, and I noticed because I came down to be on the show one time, and that's when I met you. You were there.
Okay, sure.
So Chris,
I'm trying to think about when we did the weed show.
This is like 2016. You know how I noticed? Because Chris was doing this. I went down there. I did this little interview with him, and then not long after, he started podcasting with me, and we started building behind that suit. So that's
who did he do the interview with?
Me. He did that with me. I went down there and he interviewed me on Makeway Radio one time back.
Okay, but it wasn't me interviewing.
No, you were there in the next room, and I remember this. So as you're describing Makeway Radio, that's actually when I met you for the first time in like real life, was in the studio. I came down there. But what ended up happening is, because of that experience, which you're a part of technically, I ended up seeing that Chris Chrome was worth fucking with in this regard, and so he's, you know, my editor right now. That's the guy that does my fucking editing, actually, you know. So in a sense, because you were working with him, my whole shit exists today. That's fucking big.
So like, that's the funny thing about that. Like, I remember distinctively of who I interview and who I don't, but like, having those type of moments, now that I don't remember or not remember, the whole point is I just know. Like, knowing people and like knowing who they are, I can't fucking remember all the times from where, but I can show the respect that I fucking know who you are and acknowledge that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing in this industry in Montreal. People don't want to fucking acknowledge that they know people. They'll literally act like they don't know someone for no fucking reason. It's like, yo, why do that? Or like, you know, they're like, instead of like putting everyone together to do something, everyone wants to do it individualized. And in the end, like, the only time you can individualize things is when you're the fucking head of it. When you have the fucking ideas and you have the knowledge and you have the things that are going to require to get it done, then you can individualize, because no matter what, you will put a team together. Apart from that, like, cutting people out of your life and like trying to do this or that or thinking you're better than the other person doesn't really work, man. And in Montreal, that's the one thing I beg for everyone is, let's not think we're just better than the other person, but let's focus and put together. I'm sure easily a good group of us could build a fucking $1 million record label easily to start.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna be real with you. Part of why I want to do these interviews in the big picture is to like talk to everybody, right? In a sense, it's like I get the opportunity to see what everybody's doing, how everybody's feeling, how everybody's thinking, who's serious, who's not serious. But yo, there's a bigger plan in play for me, right? Because yo, there are some maybe issues sometimes with people acknowledging stuff. I know that if I interview 300 people, that's 300 people doing things in the city that people need to know about. And I know that there's ways we can fucking like orchestrate things in a way where we can change the branding. Because here's the thing, a lot of us have a jaded perspective, especially our age group, and it is what it is. That doesn't mean it's a permanent thing, because yo, I see the OGs are organized. Yo, you see how like guys like fucking Don Smooth and Preach and Kobe and them they're all on Twitch right now making this new DJ fucking club of guys all supporting each other and showing love. You look at the kids and they're crushing Instagram. And I know the All Stars Montreal people is fucking around with Makeways and them, right? So I figured out who they were, and when I see what they're doing with the youth in them, I'm like, yo, these kids are gonna destroy it. It's over. They're gonna win. These kids are gonna fucking crush it. And not to be negative against whatever, but they don't have the same toxicity. they're a lot more willing to fuck with each other and just kind of big ups each other and like each other's shit and all that good stuff. So I think it might be that our age group people in our little realm of when we started need to kind of get a little more positive with it. But in general, I agreed, man. This shit, there's like this thing happening in this city right now where there's too much talent and the technology. Here's what I think happened. COVID got everybody to stay home for a while, and then we all got kind of lonely. And now we're all reaching out in like a sincere way that is very different than a lot of us were willing to do in the past. And it may have been the big. So when you're by yourself in a room for 9 months, all of a sudden, you're a lot more willing to talk to anybody about anything. And you're a lot more curious about what anybody else is doing. And you're a lot more willing to like sit there and like listen to that track, because what the fuck else are you really going to do? You know what? And that's kind of how it started for me, as I was bored and I started getting more interested in my city. And I think a lot of people are going through that, because I'm not the only one that's fucking, you know, got a lot more time on my hands. Even with being busy, I still have more time on my hands than when I had to deal with going to work and shit in real life.
Right.
So I think that this has been a big blessing that has allowed a lot of us to connect in a different way than previously, where we all had to go to these events and compete with each other. Now, let's be real. You can just multitask shit in a way that's different. You can bump a lot of stuff, and the effort involved in us connecting has dropped significantly, weirdly enough. So this may have been kind of a blessing for the city in a weird way, even though a lot of bad things are attached to that blessing. I like to look for the positives in a situation, but like the chances of us actually having this conversation play out the way that it's playing out without the circumstances that led to it are very little. I mean, maybe it would have happened, but I don't know if it would have happened so easily. The time would have been less fluid. The whole vibe would have been different.
Yeah, but things are going to get back to normal. I think respect for anybody. I think what it is I had respect for you. I think you understood that. You asked me a question. I don't think you thought I would necessarily say no. Now, maybe for the reasons you're talking about now, but at the same time, for me, it actually did me the complete opposite. COVID made me more relaxed.
Okay.
Like COVID let me understand that you don't have a choice but to be by yourself and figure it out, where there's this amount of time in the day, and doesn't matter how much you try to occupy the time of the day, until you close your eyes again and wake up the next morning, you have to live that day. And that day is whatever the fuck it is. So for me, that completely resonated in me being so relaxed compared to my normal, impulsive, aggressive, don't want to be by myself, want to party, want to event and throw things like that, because that's why I was good at doing that job and being a host and going to these New York Fashion Weeks and being in front of people. And like, so it's only added to my game in the sense of where now I actually can be relaxed. If I know I have a big gig in a month, I know I can actually sit back, not do anything for the month unless I have things in between, and I can like memorize and practice and do all those things. Me, I was the best winger ever. I never fucking had anything. I used to write on a piece of paper, like, here's the questions I'm going to ask people, and then I throw out the piece of paper or just keep it there in case I felt like I didn't know where to go with the conversation. Most of the times I always did my history. I always told people to send me their bios. I think it's always great to know a little bit so you know where to ask them questions and figure out what you want. But in the end, man, there's interviews, there's conversations, and there's good times. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're in a position where your interview needs to be 2 minutes, it needs to be structured, it needs to get the points out, it needs to get the questions. And then you have moments like this where you get to speak, I get to speak, you get to articulate, I get to articulate, and people get to hear something that maybe can help them motivate themselves in moving forward in life. And that's where it comes down to, because in my life, I've had a lot of influential people that have believed in me. And without that, I wouldn't feel capable of being able to speak so clear spoken about it and be confident, because I don't really believe, I'm not like confidence and cockiness and stuff like that. Like, I have my bad days too, but like the one thing I'm going to do properly is express myself.
I like that.
Like, if there's one thing I can do as a human being is express my fucking self and like allow people to understand how I feel and not hold grudges or not, you know, I'm not passive aggressive. I just learned to shut my mouth a lot more because I'm plain spoken. But sometimes you have to know when to speak and not speak. You know what I mean?
I like
So
that.
that's where it comes down to it. Like that's who I am as a human today. Like, you know.
Dude, I think it's great what you're sharing. I just got to ask you a side question because I forgot, but my patron Lindell's on here and that dude pays me, so it is what it is. But he wants to know your top 5 rap artists. I'm really bad with those kinds of questions, but people do like it. So do you have a top 5 rap artist?
I definitely can say that Jadakiss would be in there. Oh, this is good. Let me sit down for this one. Let me think. Real okay. I guess because there's 2 albums. Man, this is a tough one.
Go for it though. It's good. Changes up the vibe, makes it all fresh again.
Okay, so we have Jadakiss. You know what? Just because I don't want to put Jeezy in my top 5, although like I would. Thug Motivation 101 is one of my favorite albums, and if you buried me, I'd want to be buried with it or burnt, like whatever, cremated. I'm almost gonna have to throw in G-Eazy because when these things happen,
G-Eazy.
that album, like these things happen. I went through some shit while that album was playing, and that shit made me cry and shit. And I was just like, yo, that's fucked up because I just felt that story so much. So that would definitely be in there. So we got Jada, we got G-Eazy.
Okay.
We probably have Jay because like Reasonable Doubt's one of my favorite, but I'm trying to like not pick the rappers necessarily that everyone would pick, but at the same time, I'm trying to really dig deep in like who I really fuck with, like growing up, man. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it as Jada. Like
Yo,
if I had
hold
to
up.
pick one, I'm gonna pick Jada. Okay, I don't know about 5, but Jada.
So
Jada.
I just got
Jada's
distracted because the chat is what it is. But apparently, Dr. Dre suffered a brain aneurysm and is in ICU at LA hospital at this moment, which
See?
just distracted
That's the
my
type of
fucking
shit I'm
vibe.
talking about. That's the shit I'm talking about right now. That's the shit I said. As we're doing whatever we're fucking doing, shit happens. There you go. Dr. Dre now aneurysm. Point made.
Nah, it's cool, man. I love the way you think. I want to
That would
make.
have been a bold prediction.
Oh my gosh.
Dr. Dre aneurysm.
So what's crazy is the other Dr. Dre that was significant from whatever that show was also suffered health issues recently. So that's like both Dr. Dre's. Anyway, that's not really that relevant, I guess, to the bigger picture. But yo, I love the way you think. I like talking to you. I feel like you're the kind of guy I could just talk about anything with and it would turn into a riveting piece of content. And I think we've actually proven that in this conversation a couple of times because what a fucking strange. This is not what I was expecting, but you're not the regular guest. You're not like the regular. So I wasn't even sure how to approach this interview on the front. I'm like, yo, like Blocka's just like, yo, like, he's an interesting guy. That's just as far as I went with it in my mind. I'm like, I don't really know. I mean,
well, I'm fucking human, man. I got fucking feelings. Like, you know, I care about shit. I don't care about some things, you know? Like, there's so many fucking things in life that, like, make who we are, man. I've been through so much shit. Like, we're not even, like, there's off-camera shit and there's on-camera shit. You know
Absolutely
what I mean? Like,
understood.
there's some fucking shit for another time that we can easily talk about that I would be open to talk about. But at the same time, in the moment of just like figuring out who I am, bro, at this age, man, I'm just that nigga. I got some tattoos. I got my own place. I drive a fucking whip. I fucking got a job. I fucking got some money. I'm fucking got some food cooking right now. I'm doing an interview with you. I'm just like everybody else. Like, I'm just trying to live my life. I'm not trying to be no better than the next man, but I'm trying to be fucking happy. I'm trying to make sure that I'm good. And during these times in Corona, it's hard to do that. So these moments, like, I gotta appreciate you. Yo, you look forward to moments like this. Like, I can definitely agree with you. Like, when was the last time I did an interview? Not. So I look forward to doing this. And this is something like,
yeah, that's cool, man.
You show up for it. You know, you show up for it and you do it properly. So I appreciate you having me on and doing this, and I get to speak. And you're right. I haven't been able to speak like this to everyone or feel like I'm speaking to a crowd of people But in the end, I'm not really here to talk what I don't believe or like to influence people in some fucking type of bullshit like religion or politics. Like I'm not that
Nah,
deep.
it's not. But
Like you're
that's
not
not
the
even
type
like
of
what this shit's about. Like to me, it's
no,
about.
but people do that shit. They turn these interviews in religion or politics or like Trump.
But
Like
that's
I don't
good.
want to fucking talk
So
about
like,
that shit.
there's a
Like,
whole like vision behind what I'm doing, right? To me, I'm into education. So that's why it's called Bridge the Gap. It's literally about that. Somebody said, I need you to come up with a title. And I'm into like making sure that if you're going to call something something, it has to mean something, right? I always rap in a suit. Behind that suit, it's like the guy behind that fucking performer. It's meant to be like a divider between the personality over there and the guy that, well, now it's a new personality. But it's closer to the real version of me, you know?
right.
It's like my hair is let down. But then Bridge the Gap. This is what this interview series is. Like, look, Sammy's here, man. Willie's here. People are paying attention because we're having these kinds of conversations about the real life shit. Listen, I don't give a fuck who you care about in that election. That's not even my country. You know, like, fuck that shit.
No,
It's not my business.
but like talking about Trump and politics and shit is what everyone talks about. I'm so
It's so
glad we didn't have
boring.
a conversation about the Rona because I wasn't gonna be the one to bring it up.
But here's the
You know
thing,
what I
that's
mean?
like huge because yo, it's gonna be like yo, as Willie said, it always gets better after the 2 hour mark. So that's what Drink Champs does. That's the secret to Drink Champs. We just were able to replicate it without getting you fucking drunk. We talk about a bunch of random shit and hit you with it in different directions, and then inevitably like, okay, fuck it, we're just chilling. And at that point, it gets even better.
Wait, how long are these interviews supposed to be?
As long as
Because
they go.
I ain't got 2 hours. I got onto this fucking chicken and rice is cooked.
I know, I mean, you know, you're at like 2 hours. Dude, I'm saying we've
what?
already
You
gone
can't like
almost that long.
combine like I can't like combine my fucking Twitch and then be in your Twitch room anyways. Can't you like multiple combined Twitches?
So in theory, if you were on a computer right now, you could be streaming the same conversation to your people and basically replicate what I'm doing.
Right.
Without a computer, it's different, and I don't know how to do it with the PlayStation Twitch because the PlayStation Twitch is more derived. But yeah, for the record, we're at 2 hours ish, maybe minus.
Shit is fly though. Look. I'm gonna show you something. See that?
Yeah, man, it's nice, man. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, that's the PlayStation right there. I got the whole chat right there.
That's fucking nice.
Yeah.
No, but isn't it like cool to be on the TV? It just fucking flatter me. But yeah, so yeah, just to say, like, that's why I brought up 2 hours that's we're already at that point. That's why, like, that's how much time.
Oh, we spoke for 2 hours already?
That's what I'm saying. We've already gone that long.
Yeah.
That's what these interviews are, man. We just have the conversation, and so somebody said to me, like, yo, try to make them a certain amount of time, and I'm like, yo, Joe Rogan doesn't do that. Joe Rogan does not watch the clock. If the interview's 5 hours, it's 5 hours. If it's 90 minutes, it's 90 minutes. Like, sometimes they're shorter. Sometimes people don't want to talk. Maybe you got shit to do after. Sometimes there's hard stops. I've been told straight up, I'm done by 9. I has to be done by, like people give me that.
Yeah. Not only that, but then there's editing. And when you edit, then you can literally put out 10-minute clips, and you only have to put out 2 of them out of the 2 hours, but you can put out the parts that you like the most or you thought was the most influential.
Yeah, my dude's going to totally take care of that after. But the fact is, the live one's here. Because we're live, this is the full interview. My dude's still going to edit it and cut out a couple things here, and then we'll put up the live one down, the full thing down the line so that the whole thing's available. But at the same time, you've had a few people that have sat here with us the whole time because they're so fucking engaged in the chat. And that's
shout out to y'all.
So,
you know what it is.
Because, dude, this conversation isn't boring to anyone. Well, I mean, maybe it's boring to some people. I can't say anyone. But there's people invested in this, is I guess more what I'm saying, in this conversation. So I don't think there's a real length to it. I mean, to me, it's just like, if it's good, we keep talking. When it doesn't feel right to keep talking, we stop talking. And that's my whole format.
When my butter chicken.
That looks delicious, dude.
This is what I've been cooking up. Look, so for me, man, like, I'm not the type of dude to be shy either, especially once I realized we're having a great conversation in the sense where I need to eat. I was hungry. I felt like, yo, we've been talking for a while, but I didn't know how long. But I was like, look, I'm going to cook this food. Like, you don't have to cut off interviews or do whatever. Like, it's like if I was talking to my boy, like, are you going to cut your boy off?
That's it, man.
Like, I'm going to go cook food. And you're just talking. You're like, yo, it's good, bro. So, like, for me, a lot of great things were said. I like your perspective on a lot of things. I'm like entertained or not entertained. Like, the whole point is like talking to other people that want to know things in life that they don't know about is great, because from that moment I start opening up and learning things from your life that I didn't know, like the video game stuff and like being with the software and your beliefs and little things
Dude,
like that.
nobody
So
ever
like
cares
that's the
about my
thing.
day job on this. You're the first guy that ever actually was like, let's talk about your day job. I'm like, let's do it. Nobody cares. Yeah. That was cool of
It
you.
is what it is, bro. It's a part of you, like, you know.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Well, I'm not a big fan of doing the work anymore, but it's also been a decade at the company. But I'm a big fan of this conversation. Just for the sake of sound bites, then, because you might be done quick, I want to get my little outro speech on camera. We don't have to end right away. I just want to get the outro speech on camera, and then we can keep talking. So yeah, I just want to thank y'all for watching.
Where should I sit though? I should sit somewhere where I get good kill. Like,
Yeah. All right. So just want to thank y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all being here with us. Yo, thank you for being with us, Mr. Blocka. It's been fucking wonderful. We barely even talked about a lot of things, so you're going to have to come back. It's the facts of it. There's a lot more to be said. Because, yo, there's a lot of interesting things this guy has even done, but we just got too distracted because he's that fucking interesting. It's what it is. On Let us know in the comments if you're on the YouTube version of this in the future what you care about seeing, and let the people know what's up with it. For those of you jumping on the Twitch now, we're not quite done. We're just getting a sound bit. And yo, definitely like the videos, follow, subscribe, etc. Special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Pato, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Scribble. They're dope. Support what we do. If you want to support what we do and you on Twitch, just to subscribe. And other people, patreon.com/behindthatsuit, and you'd all be lovely. On that note, I just want to say to y'all, live long and prosper, everyone.
yeah, we can live long and prosper type shit. Matter of fact, 1 like equals 1,000,000 more shows. So get those likes going and the subscribe. And matter of fact, HSR, man, this was amazing. You know what it is. Holden Stephan Roy, you know, behind that suit. I'm glad to have been on. And your man Blocka, you know what it is. And like, make sure y'all just do the shit that y'all want to do in life, man. And let's get it.
Amazing.